Welcome to In the Hot Seat with WRP, where we aim to inspire entrepreneurship through engaging conversation. Today, we have a special guest who is an embroiderer. She has a heart of gold and she has a kindred soul. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce the owner of Prestige Design Group, Miss Elayne Leathers-Hill. How are you doing, Miss Elayne?
I'm doing fine. I just want to say thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be here.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's kick this off. And can you tell us a bit about your background and how you got started in embroidery?
Well, embroidery was the first thing that my mother taught me as a child. I have a picture on the table, and it shows all of the kids in the neighborhood had to learn how to do something with their hands. And so by the age of about 5, I was embroidering, and back in those days with just a little small hoop, and we did it by hand. And as I got older, I seen the process of where you have like a 6 needle or 12 needle machine, and you embroidery via a tape reader. But today we are embroidery via a jump drive once we have the design and we add it to stitch data.
Okay. Wow, awesome. So your mother taught you that form of artistic expression.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me ask you this. Do you consider yourself a business owner or an entrepreneur?
I think you have to look at it as being one. Entrepreneur, I started out, but when it comes to making sure that the bills are paid and everything is taken care of, you have to be a business owner. You have to make the decision what gets paid today, what's going to get paid tomorrow. Good decisions, bad decisions, you have to own them all.
Okay. How long have you been doing embroidery as a business owner?
As a business owner for 33 years come September.
Wow. So did you do it work in corporate America before you started your embroidery business?
I did it up until about the age of 22, and by that time I think I had ventured off into making some dresses and different items, and by that time T-shirts was becoming popular, and so I dabbled in the T-shirt art realm, which was very lucrative. And the only thing I didn't like about that was that the ink just stayed up under your fingernails, and so your hands always looked a little bit untidy. So I went back to embroidery, and I've always loved the expression with thread, beads, applique, and I've just stayed there.
What is applique?
Applique is a two-step process where you will sew outline. You will take and cut the fabric according to that outline, lay it down, and then you will sew the stitches around it and put some fill stitches on top of it to lay it there. You'll see a lot of it on jacket backs or the front of sweatshirts. It's a very popular way of embroidering, yet it saves stitches. So something that would normally take 3 hours or 5 hours to sew out, you could get it down to maybe an hour and a half because all that inner area is filled with fabric as opposed to stitches.
Okay. So you're just sewing the outside, the perimeter of the fabric.
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the primary techniques you use in your embroidery work?
Well, we'll take a design, and mind you, there are so many things to do in embroidery. But let's say that somebody bring me their design, or they're thinking about a design. You have to know what their color scheme would be. You have to then take that design and put it to stitch data so your machine can read it, and then you would hoop the garment, put backing up under it, and you would sew it out according to that business card or that artwork. And that is the process that I I like best, where you're not sewing the same thing over and over and over again after years. You know, you're not just doing that same dress for how many people would buy it, but you'll have several customers say that they're corporates or just, you know, like today, young people. Everybody have a design that they want to take it to the marketplace. And I enjoy having young people to come and I can share with them, show them how to turn their design into a marketable unit.
So you can do that from start to finish. If I brought you a design, you could walk me through that process.
Yes, I can.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, inspiration. Where do you find inspiration for your designs? If someone told you, Miss Elayne, I have this idea that I want to bring to light, and they just gave you a descriptive words, could you bring that design to life?
Yes, I would sit down with my artist or I would sketch it out
Okay.
and then I would have my artist to take that and turn it into some artwork or a PDF file or Illustrator file. And from that, we take it, we digitize it. And by digitizing is when you take a picture and you put it to stitch data so that the machine can read it, and then that item becomes that logo that they have brought in.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. All right. So that's basically how you translate your ideas into embroidered artwork.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Well, have you encountered any type of challenges in maintaining creativity, having brain cramps if someone, brings you an idea and you just say, I just cannot, come up, I cannot fathom, I cannot come up with an idea. How do you deal with challenges?
Well, it's their design. I find that if I try to take over that process that they should come with, it never turns out right. I can give them some ideals, I can interject my thoughts, but I try to send them back to the drawing board so that they can bring me what they truly want.
Okay.
Rather than me trying to submit 4, 5, or 6 designs to them. Once we have sat down and we've talked about it, and they can see a little more clearly on exactly what they want. And then when they come back, that gives me enough meat to go and to create or turn that into a design.
Okay. How do you engage with the embroidery community, both locally and online? Or do you?
I do. I love to go to embroidery shows. I love to sit down with other embroiderers. I love to sit down with people who think they want to become an embroidery entrepreneur. I love them because when I first started out, I remember calling around and speaking to somebody, and they told me that this was their territory, that it wasn't any room in Atlanta for another embroiderer, and not to call them anymore. So I try to encourage people, if this is what you want to do, if this is what you think you want to do, don't do it as a hobby, but do it as a business. Because one day, this is what will be the source of your income. And so you have to treat it like that every day. You have to get up and work at it every day.
Have you always, have you been in the same place of business for the past 35 years of embroidery business?
No, I started out as a home-based business. I've moved out. I've moved back in. I've had a standalone building in Atlanta for a short period of time. I've had a location in Moultrie, Georgia. But yet, it always seems like I I bring it back to the home base, and I'm thankful that I have that place, especially during the pandemic when so many businesses have gone out and gone, just disappeared. I'm still standing today. Have my cost of doing business changed? No. Have I been able to generate and come up with the same source of income? Yes. I've been blessed to do that. One thing is you have to have more than just one stream of revenue. You have to, when I was doing most corporate logos, left chest logos, well, there was a need for mass, but yet I could take and put their logo on the side of the mass, and that became very popular. And that was a rewarding experience. One of the things that I've done over the years was I have trimmed my backing. Everything you sew have a backing to stabilize the fabric. You always use the backing. So I've always trimmed off that backing, put it to the side, and saved it. Well, if I was to count today about how many masks that I've made, I probably made 60 to 80,000 masks during that time. And I was able to use all of that backing that would have been thrown away for waste. It was a perfect size to make masks with. To have a backing behind that mask that we made for the people.
So instead of trashing that those backings, you use it as basically recycled material.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Have you found any particular communities or resources especially helpful in your embroidery practice?
I've done very well in the church.
Okay.
That has been very rewarding. It's one of my favorite is to do clergy wear, do ministry wear shirts, and I have some large churches that I've done wearables for, as well as corporate and as well as some of the studios, some of the movie studios in the community as well. I've been blessed and honored, and they have really kept my business alive over the years.
Okay. What are some common challenges that you face as a female minority-owned business compared to the big store, the bigger embroidery shops? What types of challenges have you faced and how have you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenges in all business, and especially in my little niche, is financing. Ooh, that is financing and taxes. That is those are my biggest challenges. Absolutely, and I'm always on my knees. I'm always praying about it, and I'm always believing for a miracle. And God always comes through. So that's
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. How do you continue to develop and grow as an embroiderer?
I think doing trade shows has been good, and I always, whether I want to or not, I always will go look for fresh ground, fresh opportunities, and that to me, trade shows has always been good. So you can get out among the community, let people know who you are, what you do, let them see your work.
So do you sometimes knock on doors, knock on businesses, or how do you, I know you say you big in the churches, small businesses, local governments. Do you shy away from doing it the traditional way?
Knocking on doors, no. I have a challenge. I've challenged myself to double my sales goal, and the only way I can do that is go back to knocking on doors. So I'm back to knocking on doors.
Okay. The future of embroidery. Where do you see the future of embroidery heading, both in terms of trends and innovation?
Well, I'd like to share with you. I seen something within the last 6 months. It was phenomenal to me, and that is so you have a machine that is as long as this wall here, and on the top of it was a unit. This particular unit that I'm speaking about was like $22,000 all by itself. It was about so wide and about yay tall, and it had, let's say, 8 cones of white thread. It
Okay.
only used white thread, but as the thread starts up at the top of it, and by the time it come down and that thread hit that machine, it was dyed, dried, and put into the fabric. The color, whether it should be green, blue, white, red, yellow, it would be a perfect dyed color by the time that it hit that fabric. That was fabulous to me, because you could just buy nothing but white thread. There's nothing worse than to set up a job and you not have that color. Well, it wouldn't matter what color that you need. You could just program that machine and it would dye it as it go down into the fabric. That was just fabulous. And technology and AI have changed so that every day you just have to see what's new out there because the young people are coming up with things so fast.
And if you don't stay on top of it, you'll get left
You
behind.
get left behind.
Man.
And another thing is young people, they're coming up with ideals and some of the things that 5 or 10 years ago that there's no way that would sell. Things are selling. Young people are attracting the minds and the thoughts of other young people, and they're getting behind these new designs, these new designers, and they want what is out there. If you look back through the history of art and embroidery, of even back in slavery days, the people knew how to travel by the sew-outs that the other people would wear on their shirts or on their blankets. It would tell a whole story or what direction you travel in by what was sewn on that quilt or sewn on that shirt or that scarf that the people wore.
Wow. Unbelievable. Are there any new techniques or styles in embroidery that you're excited to explore in the future besides the one that you just expounded upon?
I'm always looking for new and different styles, and I think that our new apparatus, so let's say that 25 years ago I bought a 12-head machine, okay?
Okay.
And 25 years ago, it would take 2 people, me and another person, to switch from flats. Flats is your shirts, your jackets. From switching from the flats to picking up this unit that when I had to switch over to caps and put that cap frame on that machine, I could do it with just me and one other person. That's how, but it was very heavy. Today, it would take 3 of us to take this and put it on the machine. So rather than struggling with that, a new machine could be changed with just one person because it's just 2 heads at a time. You just take this little piece, put it up on the machine, clamp it down, move over, add 2 more, clamp it down, move over, and clamp it down and go on. And then you just program the machine, and it will sew caps at a wheel. Where now I will only switch over to caps maybe once or twice a month and do all my caps, because it'd take a half a day to switch that machine over to flats or over to caps to sew out all my caps a day or 2 or 3 days at one time and then go back to flats. But for sure, every time I'm finished with it and I go back, here somebody come through the door with 100 caps and, I need them tomorrow. Oh, no. Okay.
You're gonna have to wait.
So it's just the machines and the ease of sewing the designs out is faster. It lays more beautiful than the old machines do. So I think equipment-wise, the equipment is better today than it was 25 years
And
ago.
I'm assuming the newer equipment is not as heavy, like you said, as the equipment, in the past.
No, it's not as heavy.
Okay. All right. So someone comes to you, Miss Elayne, let's just say they're finishing up high school, going to college, and they say that I want to pursue a career in embroidery. What type of advice would you give them?
Certainly, I always ask the young person, I always look at their fingers. To me, you have to be willing to sacrifice them long fingernails. You got to make some sacrifices in there. So I always look at somebody's fingers to see, do you have real slender, thin fingers, and are you willing to give up those nails? Because they get in the way, they slow you down. You can't thread your needles. You can't pick up a needle. They're just cumbersome. It's the wrong place, the wrong industry for all of that cute stuff. So that's always something. And then the fact, how much money do you have saved? If you're gonna put $150,000 in some equipment, and you're gonna run this business, do you have somebody that's gonna pay the bills or help you until you get established, that you can move on? Or if you don't want to buy this equipment, do you want to have a relationship where you can take your items to a larger embroiderer that can do it and they sew your designs, you pick it up, and then you deliver it to your customers until you get enough customer or income basis coming in that you don't have to worry and you don't have to depend on it. At one point, I didn't have a husband to support me, so I just had to earn that money, whether So that's something that the people need to think about. Do you have somebody that is excited about what you're going to do, that's going to help you until you are able to stand on your feet? Because everybody don't pay from day one. It may be 30 days, 60 days. Some of them, you don't get that money in your hands until 90 days down the road. That's a long time.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they don't understand what net 30, net 60, net 90 means. You do the work, then you don't get paid until that 30, 60, 90-day mark hits.
Right.
So you have to budget, for those lean times. So I'm sure you've had in your 35-year career as an embroiderer, people who have come to you and asked you to mentor them. What has that been like, you mentoring a mentee?
Well, I love it. I love it because it will allow me to live on forever. It's a gift that I believe God gave me, and that gift I want to pass it on. And all I ask is that you will pass it on to somebody else. So, whether you live to be 70, 80, 90 years and somebody else come along and they do it another 30, 50 years, and that gift is going on to the next generation, well, I don't think you could ask for more than that.
I know you said you do basically embroidery. What is it called? You don't do silk screen, do
I
you?
do
Oh, you
silk
do?
screening, yes. Some I farm out, some I keep in. Some of the digitizing I do in-house, some I send it out. DTS, direct-to-garment printing, is to me taking over the marketplace. It's so many other things out there. And then some of my corporate customers, they may need some ink pens. They may need some water bottles. They may need a background with their logo on it, whatever. I've tried to provide that for my customers. One-stop shop as well.
Okay. Any valuable lessons that you'd like to share with others through your embroidery journey? Some nuggets you like to share, Miss Elayne?
Learn to tell the truth to your customers. If they put on something and it don't look good, just have a if it's too tight, just have a nice way to tell them, let's try this one on over here, see if it fits better than what you have on now, and then let them make the choice. And sometimes you cannot change their mind. And so but if you have tried to tell them it's too small, and they choose to buy that size anyway, then there's nothing you can do about it
Let
at
them
that
go on
point.
their merry way.
Yeah.
Okay. How has embroidery impacted your life personally beyond just a creative outlet? What has it brought you?
I think peace of mind. I think at the end of the day, when there's so many challenges outside the doors, when you get on the inside, and rather than worrying and not knowing what to do next, if you just sit down, have some tea, a prayer, and just be able to pick up a needle and some thread and to sit down and, you just be able to work through some of the life situations that are thrown at you.
So it's almost as if it's therapy,
Yes,
you
it's
know.
been therapy for me.
Okay. What have you found most fulfilling as an embroiderer?
Seeing that you have made somebody happy with your craft. I remember one time, I just want to share this with you. I had
Okay.
this friend, and I called him, and so I said, "What you doing?" He said, "I'm working." And so he said, "What you doing?" I said, "Nothing. I'm having a bad day." And he said, "If you get up and do something, I guarantee you your day will be better." And I've tried to live by that.
Stay busy.
Just stay busy.
Okay. Has it worked?
It has worked for me.
Okay. All right. What's the most unusual item that you've embroidered? One or two?
Some panties.
What?
I'm like,
wait.
what? Why? Why?
Panties?
Some panties.
Did you ask her why?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you do the job?
Yeah, they were new. I wasn't, yeah, they were new. So,
I wasn't expecting that, Miss Elayne. Wow. Okay. That is unusual. And I'm sure you haven't gotten a request like that since
no,
then.
no,
Okay.
no.
All right. That is. All right. What else unusual have you, a customer ask you? Can you do such and such?
Most of the time, I like a challenge. One of the things that was unusual, all leather is different. There are so many different grades of leather. So, like, here's a leather pillow. So this right here is probably 25 years old, 30 years old. It's an old pillow, but this was a logo that I had at one point. And this person bought me maybe 6 jackets, and they had like a sweet spot in them. I didn't pay any attention to it. I noticed it. I didn't pay any attention to it. Their design was a lot of stitches was in the middle. So I sewed these jackets out. Great job. I took the hoop off, and when I took the hoop off that jacket, the whole centerpiece come out on them jackets. Some of you can get some stuff imported, and they
Right.
be cheap. It is cheap,
Was,
and
was it leather or pleather?
it was a leather, a less expensive
A cheap leather.
a cheap leather.
Okay.
But it was leather, but it was a cheap leather. It couldn't handle the stitches going
Okay.
in there, and the thing just lifted on up out of there.
And so what did you do? What'd you tell the customer?
I just told them, hey,
You got some cheap leather.
you got some cheap leather. You know, I sold 6 of them, right? And so about 3 of them, just all of them come out in the same place, and 3 of them did not. So it wasn't on me. It was, you know, the job was a great job, but it just didn't hold.
Man, I'm looking at this, and you say this is 25 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. How long did something like this take?
That took me about 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. I slowed the machine down. That was one thing, and so it took a long time. But
Wow.
it's old, but it's still.
But it ain't
still
cheap. It
good.
ain't cheap leather, is
No,
it?
it's not cheap leather.
Okay. All right. Now, Miss Elayne, I want you to give the listeners and the viewers a hot seat moment, something embarrassing or an uncomfortable situation in which you were in, and how did you deal with it?
Oh boy! Now this is a hot seat moment. I don't really remember how it went, but I had did a interview. It wasn't an interview. I was out doing a sales call, and I had long hair and I was cute and everything, but it was something in the sales presentation. I don't remember how it was, but rather than me saying what I was supposed to say, I said something else, and it was most embarrassing. And I can't even remember what it was, but it was so embarrassing. And that's all I could tell you. And but I just kept going. I didn't say
Just
I
glossed over it.
I just glossed over it.
Hey, I mean, hey, that's what you got to do sometimes, you know? That's what you got to do. Okay, as we get ready to wrap this up, is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers and listeners? I'm going to let you give your contact information. If someone needs to get in contact with you, give them that information, because this is going to be spread, all over. And you never know where business may come from.
Okay, that's true. So my web address is prestigedesigngroup.com. Prestigedesigngroup.com. And my phone number is 404-840-3913. And that is my direct number. That's the best number to get a hold of me on. And you are never too young to start on this journey. And so, like I have my one niece, when she was 5 years old, I used to take her down the stairs at night with me when I would be working, and she would always just sit there on the machine, and we would be talking and going back and forth. And then one day she told me, she said, "Aunt Faye, I can do everything that you can do on this machine." I said, "You cannot." She said, "Yes, I can." And we went back and forth, and so she got up and she turned the machine off, and she said, "Let me show you. Let me show you how to thread the needle. Let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to do that." And the only thing I had to do was pick her up to sit her up on the machine. She knew everything. So the kids cannot be too young to learn. I have one now who is 10 years old. And at 7, I put her on like a little box. And I started her out unpackaging the shirts, putting them in a stack according to sizes, threading the needle, make sure that the bobbins are in tight, do this, do that, and she loves it. So, it may be something we can take and put a class together for the young kids and on a Saturday afternoon and show them, because there's so many of our children are very creative, and we need to allow these juices to be touched and warmed up and utilized because of their creativity is running at such a young age.
You said the right word, creative. These young kids are very creative, nowadays, and you have to give them that outlet.
Yes, you do.
I mean, they're in school all day, and, it's just a different world we live in. But creativity is key.
Yes.
And you definitely have a creative mind, a creative spirit, to deal with, like I say, you're an embroiderer. And I do not know, are there many minority embroiderers here in Atlanta?
Yes. There are quite a few of us. Even it doesn't matter if you have a one-head machine, if you got a two-head machine, if you have a four-head machine. You should always have somebody that you go to. Somebody can tell you something. I was down working on Friday night. I was folding shirts, and I don't know. I've been folding shirts for 32 years. But another friend of mine who sells massive amount of uniforms was over there. She said, "Elayne, do this shirt just like this. Take it, pull it up a little bit higher, and put it in there, and it will not come out." I said, "You kidding me?" And so you're never too old to learn something new.
Mm-hmm. So she shows you how to fold, a new way of folding
A
something.
new way of folding something.
Okay.
Just
All right.
one little element will make a difference in what you do and how you do it.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I would love to be able to know that I have taken this company from where it is now to just publicly traded. And I believe that's possible.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And with that being said, we are out within the hot seat with WRP.